Yep.
And I can't hold it much longer. Gonna let go so I can be free.
What's up? Both here in the same spot. I mean, Kratz is obviously going to be super cocky today, but we're not going to actually get to why he's feeling great until later in the show. But do you know about his weekend?
I saw something about he played in some game or something.
Yeah. Looks like he played pretty good ball this weekend. You can give us like a really, really small taste, Kratz. Go ahead, and then we'll show video later.
My buddy fell over trying to field a ground ball. That made me more happy than getting hits or throwing anybody out. Chris, he is really sore today, and I love every second of it. Laughing with the boys back in school.
I love it.
What was it? Alumni game? What was it? Old timers game?
Alumni game.
Oh.
Not old timers. I got to the field and there wasn't even that many old guys. There's a bunch of kids that like just retired and then a couple of my buddies. But man, we are way older than those guys. Way older, AJ.
I'm aware. I don't play in those games.
Why?
Because there's no upside for me. What's the upside for me playing in it?
Just fun.
Being like, yeah, fun. And
yeah, but then
saying,
you get some
hey.
22-year-old guys like, oh, look who I struck out. I'm like,
Oh.
dude, bro, calm down.
But you could
Look,
also take someone.
Although
deep.
I played in the Cooperstown thing twice, didn't strike out.
Right.
Got
So
all kinds of hits off
That's
dudes
an
trying to
alumni
punch
game.
me out.
That's
Brett
an alumni.
Tomko tried to rush me 90+. Get that shit out of here. Oops.
You know what you should say? You know what you should say?
We're going to get to Brett Tomko later, too, by the way.
I did not know that. You know what you should say? I only play in my college alumni games.
Yeah. That's what you should say.
Newsflash for anyone unaware. AJ did not go to college. He skipped college. Okay. One more thing, and then we'll dive into the Dodgers-Mets. So we good with the bye week now? 3 out of 4 teams made it.
I've never had a problem with it.
Oh, I thought you had a problem with it. I'm joking.
I've never had a problem.
You're the one that's all against
3 out of 4
everyone on
teams
it.
made it.
Yeah.
3 out of the 4 best teams made it, right? I mean, those are supposed to be the best teams. They're already talking about, though, changing the format to make it fairer. Like, why do we always got to change rules? Play better.
But
Just
also,
win.
was it unfair? 3 out of 4 teams
No, it wasn't unfair.
made it.
No, if the Dodgers hadn't made it, though, you know, Guardians made it, right? If the Yankees and the Dodgers wouldn't have made it, there would have been some boo-hoo, and not from the players, but from the fans.
Mm-hmm. Well, it all worked out. Or
Is Hunter
at least-
Pence coming on again? Can we argue about it again?
Why, did he cry about it?
There's
I
good
can see
debate.
him- I can see him being a big, I don't want to buy kind of deal guy.
Why you think he wants to play more?
No, I think that he would be a guy that would affect the buy would affect him because he swings so hard. He swung so differently. I feel like a buy would have affected. Listen, I was great. I was happy for a buy. Are you kidding me? I got 3 days off. I was like, oh yeah, because Kratz knows the starting catcher ain't catching them sim games.
Not a chance. No way.
Yeah, you get a real break.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, you got some BP, you got some beeps in. You maybe threw some balls to second. Maybe got an at bat if you felt like it. I don't even think I got any at bats in the sim games. I was like, I don't need no stinking at bats.
Yeah, but you're different.
It's
Some
October, bro. I'm locked.
Some people feel like they can't turn it on and off, I guess, the same way. I don't know. But guess what? It all worked out, at least for now. So there'll be less complaining maybe this offseason. Let's get into the Mets and Dodgers.
Charging the mound.
9-0, game 1. Jack Flaherty shoved. You know what's really good for winning a championship? Generally, making a shrewd move at the trade deadline. Jack Flaherty, Tommy Edman, who's now their starting shortstop because Miguel Rojas isn't playing this round. And Michael Kopech's pretty good too. Pretty damn good out of the bullpen. That deal was they got all 3 of those guys in one deal. That's worked out pretty well for them, don't you think?
It's amazing when look at Lane Thomas. We're going to get to later. Also, he was traded at the deadline, right? I mean, I think some teams that made some moves are pretty happy with the moves they made to get them to where they are. So I'm all for it. It gives your guys a boost. It gives guys a shot in the arm of adrenaline. Like, hey, we're really going for it. And we've seen the results. We've seen the results. That's all you can say is you've seen the results. Go for it when you have an opportunity.
You see how clutch Shohei Ohtani is with runners in scoring position?
I don't understand. 16 for 19 for his last 19 with runners in scoring position? It's not even. I mean, Budo made the right move. I know it ended up backfiring him because Mookie cleared the bases, but 16 for 19? That's like sign stealing like numbers. Like, you know what's coming kind of numbers. Like, that's unbelievable. And like, there's walks mixed in there. There's like, I guess. Hey, you know what? Maybe the Mets goal is to not let Shohei beat him. So there you go. Goal accomplished. Just don't throw to him with the runners in scoring position. 16 for 19 is another level.
I'm just going to say this. I know we love to talk about Shohei. Let's talk Jack Flaherty. 7 innings, 2 hits, no runs. Just shoved exactly what the Dodgers needed for a long series, right? Because it saves their bullpen. They only had to use 2 guys. They had to use Huddy and Kasparius.
The thing is, they don't want you to know his name,
Kasparius.
right? Because they want the starters to go.
I'll be honest. By that time, I had turned it off because it was 9-0, and I was like, I don't need to watch
It was a snooze
Ben
fest.
Kasparius pitch.
Yep.
No offense to Ben. I'm sure you're great, but you had a nice day.
Bright future, and he gets some playoff time.
Yeah, but you know what I'm saying? Like, the biggest thing is they let Flaherty go 7. They let him go 7. They weren't like, 4, third time through, let's get him out. He went 7.
How much of that had to do with the lead? Do you think they
Well,
would
the
have
lead
been tempted?
obviously had to do with it.
It's a 1-0 game.
I'm sure
ready
the
to
Dodgers
press
like,
the
get him
button.
out.
Yeah.
And Doc was like, it's 6-0, guys. Let's let him ride.
Yeah.
I mean,
Bullpen game for game 2. This is
that's
huge.
what I'm saying. That's why it was gigantic.
Mhm.
And then the other, let's not talk about, we don't probably want to talk about Senga, but let's talk Senga.
No, we should definitely talk
He
Senga.
stunk. I'm gonna quote this because I want to make sure I get this one right.
Like what he said about not being
From somebody, I'm not
sound.
going to say who pitched in the
Ooh.
big leagues
Okay.
for a long time. We saw it in Senga's face last series. He looked scared out there,
Wow.
which I would tend to. I'm not saying he looked scared, but the moment looked bigger than he was. And we saw it in the Phillies series, the first inning. He looked the same. He gave up the homer to Schwarber, and he was like, ugh. And he got that look, right? And he could say his mechanics were off, or whatever he wants to say. But the Phillies chased for him. The Dodgers, they don't chase.
Mhm.
So they just sit up there and were like, I mean, you go, you got Shohei, great. But then Mookie walked, Freddie walked, Max got the hit after there was bases loaded, right? Then they walked, walked Teoscar. He got Will Smith, they had a fly ball, which I don't know why Mookie didn't tag on. It was a whole different thing.
Would have been a bigger deal if it wasn't a blowout. But yeah.
And then Max, our boy, comes through with the knock, right? To make it 2-0.
Mm-hmm.
And then he goes out the next inning and walk. And they're like, all right, that's it. See ya. 4
Done.
walks. No punchies, 4 walks. 1 1/3, 2 hits, 3 earnings. Like, he looked like he did not know what was going on. Like, it looked, and I hate to say this about any player, but it looked like the moment was like, whoa, I'm in Dodger Stadium. And he says the mechanics are off before the game. Well, can't you fix them? I don't know, Kratz, can't you fix the mechanics?
I don't know if you can fix the mechanics. I'm sure if somebody can. Senga, who had like a 2.9 last year, can fix them. His ghost fork, I'll always say this, his ghost fork plays in Citi Field. I'm not going to get into the metrics of it. I'm not going to get into any of that. Maybe he wasn't confident in himself. I think a veteran pitcher, like I get it, you know, he came over here last year and was a rookie last year, but he's a veteran pitcher. He knows when his mechanics are off. Japanese pitchers are very, very methodical about their mechanics and repeating their delivery over and over and over again. And he wasn't able to do it. That was not what the Mets had dialed up. And now it's kind of weird too, because they used David Peterson, who's kind of he's been starting, but I guess they don't want to start him. He's been awesome for them. And they threw him out there, and the Dodgers tacked onto their lead. So they took him out. He's kind of their bulk guy. It's just, obviously you want to win the first game, but it doesn't set up too much confidence for game 5. You have to get to game 5 first, but do you think about throwing Peterson? Or is it, well, we're not going to throw Senga in relief, so we have to throw Senga?
Well,
I mean, you know, sometimes you got to lose a battle to win the war, right? And The war is the 7-game series. And tonight, as soon as Senga took the mound and you saw it right away, you were like, all right, we're probably not going to win this game.
Mm-hmm.
As soon as you go down 3-0 and Flaherty's dealing, you're like, okay. And then you run Peter, but they also have McGill who can give them multiple innings. He's a bulk guy for them too.
Yeah.
So they don't just have – the key is, can they win tonight? I mean, it's bullpen versus Minaya, who's been their best pitcher. Can Minaya go out and shove against the Dodgers and give them a chance? I mean, they play in early, so it's a quick turnaround. And can they do it? I don't know. I mean, here's to me what I thought about the Mets. Okay, and maybe I'm wrong on this. Maybe there was one game. I get it. The Mets have been playing on adrenaline. Oh, we got to win. We're tired. We're flying all over the country. We're tired. We're just running with it. Everything's going right. They win against the Phillies. They get 3 days off.
Like a bye.
Listen, I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is they get to sit at home for a couple days and think like, oh man, because before there was no thinking. It was like, oh, we're going to Milwaukee, we're going to Atlanta, we're going back to Milwaukee, oh, we're going to Philly, we're going to New York, oh, we won, oh my gosh, we won, now what? Right? So now they get 3 days off to just almost relax and think about it. And then they have to fly across country, right? And this is an excuse because they didn't play well, but maybe the adrenaline just was like, oh man, we lost that flow of adrenaline. We're just riding high on it.
Mm-hmm.
Now we'll see tonight when Minaya goes out and pitches, and that's not an excuse. It's not because of the bye. They're probably like, yeah, we're happy we got the 3 days off to reset everybody. But there is something to be said where you just are going, and you don't have time to really think about what you're doing.
What was the last game that you guys did? Was it Tuesday
Game 4,
or Wednesday?
it was Wednesday.
It was Wednesday.
So they got
Thursday, Friday, Saturday, fully
They got
off.
3 days off. They
And
flew
then
to
play
LA, I
Sunday
think,
night.
Saturday morning.
Got it. Okay. It's a momentum thing. I see that. A little momentum thing going here right now. Lastly, I mean, nothing's going to matter if people can't crack the Dodgers pitching. Forget it.
Yeah.
Starting, relieving, whatever. 33 innings in a row. I mean, we haven't been on since the Padres Dodgers, but they smacked them those last 2 games. Padres did nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing.
They pitched well.
They shut them out.
They went pitch well. The Mets had one chance in this game. It was when Jesse Winker. I don't know what the hell Jesse Winker was doing. But other than that, they had no chances in this game. I don't know what – Kratz, please okay, he rounded it. Just keep going at that point. I don't know why he stopped. And then he didn't run to – if he just would have stopped, even ran to third. It was like he was trying to get into a rundown.
That was the classic deer in headlights.
I'm like, what is he – it was the Ruben Rivera where he's running back and forth and John Miller goes, that is the worst base running I have ever seen. I don't know what Jesse Winker – here's the play, but Iglesias gets his hit Winker, go. Right? You got him going. You're going to – don't stop.
I think Lux
and then he
even
stopped right there. Then he
Yeah.
stopped again. I just don't know what – just keep going. Once you've made the mistake, just own it. Don't try to get into a rundown. I don't know.
6-0. 6-0. You are 100 out of 100 times making it to the base you're going to. 100 out of 100 times.
He was going to make it anyways because the center field right there is we're up 6-0. I'm keeping the double play in order because there was no outs. So he's chucking that ball to – if you watch the play, they're going to second base because they're taught, okay, we'll give up the 1 to get a double play and make it 6-1. We're fine with that. But you don't stop in the middle, and then he looks back, and then he stopped again. Just go. You already made the mistake. Just own it at that point.
Just got caught.
I don't know. It was weird.
Rally killer. 6-0. You would have first and second. Flaherty might come out of that game soon after that. I mean, you get – you maybe score a run, you manufacture a run. I don't think they stick with Flaherty, especially, I mean, it's lower in the lineup, so maybe they do, but not much.
You can even see Flaherty. You see in that replay right there, you can see Flaherty pointing to second base. Throw it to second base, which the center fielder did. I think who was playing center field? Kike? Kike made the right play.
It's a great call, though, because were they going to win the game? Probably not. But could they have cracked into their bullpen a little bit? And gotten some looks in and made them work back-to-back days? That's the difference, and that's the winning the war, kind of mentality. Hey, can we get a little bit of a win out of this battle? Because they got nothing out of game 1, nothing. So we'll see.
Today's a new day, though, Max.
It is a new day. If you want more on this series, the other series, of course, we're going to be covering it for the next couple hours on FT. But there's also a little fair territory out there for the world's YouTube, wherever you get your podcast. Ken Rosenthal running point, and then he'll be on with Alana later this week. But Ken riding solo in that first edition of Fair Territory for the week, so go check it out. We're also going to announce a new show edition later in this show, but coming up next, Anthony Castrovince will make his FT debut. Here we go. Little shout out to Orgain for sponsoring this episode of FT. 20% off your order when you scan that QR code on the screen or you go to Orgain.com/FOUL. Cheers. Give a little shake. A little protein boost right now. A little flavor description from you guys, because I know you guys have both tried what, chocolate or vanilla? Which ones have you guys gotten into? Chocolate?
I think I have both.
One of the new hip like workout regimens to burn most fat possible is the 30-30-30. Like 30 minutes after you wake up, 30 grams of protein, 30 minutes of just low stress exercise like yoga or a walk. Perfect. Orgain, 30 grams. I know the dairy one has 30 grams of protein in it. Smack that, John, as you're rolling out the door. Go for a little walk, especially up here in the north. A little brisk morning. Put a little beanie cap on, maybe some gloves to keep your hands warm, and smack an Orgain.
That was beautiful. That was really nice. I was picturing all of that. So anyway, if you want to eat better, if you want to handle the rush of your workday or whatever day you've got going on, taking care of the fam, and you just don't have time to get the job done during the day to make sure that you're getting the nutrition that you need, then check out Orgain. Okay. And thanks to them for sponsoring this episode of FT. The 30-gram protein shakes are available at Orgain.com, and you can get yourself a little discount. Orgain.com/FOUL for 20% off, and use that promo code FOUL to get yourself a little Orgain in your day. Perfect day for an FT debut for MLB.com senior writer Anthony Castrovince, who I've spoken to many times in the past. But, we figured we'd wait until Cleveland's finest can talk about the Guardians getting into the ALCS. So how you doing? And really, how's the city doing right now, Anthony?
The city's torn between distraught over Deshaun Watson and the Browns and pumped up by the Guardians. So hopefully the Guardians equation is beginning to outweigh the Browns equation.
Wait, hold up. Kratz is an Eagles fan, first of all. And so when their coach yesterday, after they beat the Browns, I know it's a baseball show, but I don't really care. But when their coach yesterday beat the Browns, he was like, at the fans, he's like, I don't hear y'all now. Like, they did something by beating the Browns. The Browns suck, man. The Browns suck for real.
It's tough to root for, as we know.
Yeah. They are. Just mistake after mistake. So that's why I've never personally understood this great disconnect between Cleveland and the baseball product, but now, hey, the Guardians surpassed 2 million in attendance this season for the first time in a long time. They've gotten the ALCS unexpectedly. So things are definitely trending up on the baseball front around here.
How can you say unexpectedly, though? They had the second best record in the league.
But they're like, look, okay, this ties in. We can kind of ask the same question together because they're the low payroll team of the group here, right? Like, isn't this a team that the city can rally around? Like, they feel like the underdogs, I think.
Well, of course they feel like the underdogs.
Out of the four, I think.
Well, of course.
Yeah, but they won the division.
They had the second best record in the league.
Yeah.
I was just looking this up a little bit ago that the Yankees paid Josh Donaldson plus Aaron Hicks the same amount the Guardians are paying Jose Ramirez this year. But when I say unexpectedly, I mean relative to the beginning of the season, because you just could not expect or forecast that the bullpen would be as good as it is, particularly the reliance on the young arms in the bullpen. You had no idea what they had back there in Cade Smith, Tim Herron, and Hunter Gaddis to set up Emmanuel Clase. That was on nobody's radar, even here in Cleveland. So that was the key to the whole thing being kind of unlocked, and this club, doing the great things it's done all year. And now that's their greatest asset going in this ALCS as well.
All right, so
I want to ask about this bullpen because, like Smith pitched in the third inning. Why'd they take Matthew Boyd out? He was pitching pretty good. I thought that.
We were texting him about
it was kind of like, whoa, he hadn't given up anything. I know Skubal was on the other side, but is there a fear? Let me ask you maybe this way: is there a fear of these guys getting worn down because these guys have thrown a lot? These guys appeared in every game in this series, right? Clase is going multiple innings. Smith is pitching in the third inning. I mean, all these guys, Gaddis, Herron. They're all like boom, 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 boom every game. I mean, at some point, Stephen Vogt needs Alex Cobb, Matthew Boyd, whoever it is, Tanner Bybee to give them 6 or 7 like Jack Flaherty did for the Dodgers.
No, you nailed it, AJ. And it was a concern of mine even as the year was going on. I thought you'd start to see some warts in September. To their credit, it did not happen. But they've ridden these guys so hard. You think about I think there's only been 6 guys at MLB this year that had sub-2 ERAs and 70-something appearances, and 4 of them are Cleveland Guardians in the bullpen there. And I don't know what that means for these guys in their future. I don't think their agents might love the workload they've taken on this year, but they have leaned on those guys very heavily. And then in the division series, it was particularly prominent where, as you said, it wasn't just being used every game. It was how they were used. Clase going 6 outs for the first time in his career. Cade Smith, they pitched him anywhere from the 3rd through 6th innings. I mean, that's a dangerous October weapon, but it's also, what does that portend for this next series? That is a best of 7, fewer off days. It's going to be a much bigger test for this bullpen for sure. And they're going to, you're right. I mean, they're going to need some innings from their starters. The Marlins were the only team in baseball this year that had fewer 6-inning plus starts this year than the Guardians. So this is not a typical, even in the context of the modern times where the bullpen, October is so bullpen oriented, it becomes more bullpen oriented all the time. Even within that, this is a pretty crazy setup that the Guardians are running out there.
But is this just Cleveland? Like when Cleveland was playing the Cubs in the World Series, I know there's injuries. Trevor Bauer cut his finger. They had Andrew Miller, who was a starter in the pen, throwing 100 innings down there. But is this just the Guardians like, oh, well, we can't pay for starting pitching ever. And once Tristan McKenzie gets hurt, once Shane Bieber gets hurt, all these guys get hurt, we don't have enough to come back? Or is it more of like, okay, their formula says these bullpen guys are our best shot. Let's go with that.
Well, they did not they would tell you, honestly, they did not intend for it to look like this. They certainly hoped to develop a great bullpen, no doubt, but they hoped for more from their starting rotation this year. And Shane Bieber looked great in spring training, and then he pulls up lame, 2 starts into the season, or 1 start in the season, excuse me. Tristan McKenzie, they had hoped for a rebound, bounce back season from him, but he was pitching with a compromised elbow and did not have the year he hoped to have. They've tried other arms in rotation that, think about Ben Lively and what he meant to their rotation this year unexpectedly. He gave them a boost, but they're really piecing it together, as evidenced by the fact that Matthew Boyd and Alex Cobb are 2 of their top 3 starters in the postseason roster, and they weren't even here a few months ago. Matthew Boyd, a mid-season free agent signee coming off of Tommy John. Alex Cobb, he'll make his 5th start of the season tonight because of he's rehabbing from injuries with the Giants, and then he's had more issues, blister and fingernail since he's come over to Cleveland. So it's a real scramble for innings, which we're not accustomed to seeing from this organization. That's their bread and butter, is developing starting pitching. Now you might say maybe their bread and butter is shifting to developing bullpen arms, given what we've seen this year. But to get to your original point, this is the way it has to be done in a smaller market. Is you do have to zig where others zag and that sort of thing. You have to find a different way to win, and they've done that in multiple ways. Where this is a very defense-oriented club. This is not a power-laden club, although it does have more power than the team that took the Yankees to the brink in the ALDS 2 years ago. It's still not the 27 Yankees. It's not the 2024 Yankees, for that matter. So They rely on contact and speed, aggression on the base paths, defense, and of course the great bullpen. And that's just the way it's always going to be for a small market team to make it this far. You're going to have some pleasant surprises, and you're going to have to, in all likelihood, construct your club a different way.
Could you see a physical difference if the numbers weren't on the scoreboard? Could you see a physical difference in Lane Thomas from August to September? Because if they had to make the postseason rosters in August, Lane Thomas would not have been on them.
I think Lane Thomas's chest dimensions are a lot different than they were in August. I think he's got that thing puffed out right now, and he should. He basically had to talk himself back in the lineup, into September. Had a great September. I think you just see the real person behind the player there, where it's not always easy for a player to uproot midseason like that and to work with a new coaching staff. And really, I don't think anybody circled Lane Thomas as a central trade target at this deadline, but for Cleveland, a first place club, like, he was their central acquisition. And, there's pressure that comes with that. So he's batting in a prominent spot of their lineup. Yeah, he struggled like you wouldn't believe in that month of August, but he turned it up in September, got comfortable. And, lefty killer. It was fascinating the other day where, if that's any other lefty starter, you probably make a move to the bullpen there to face Thomas. But, you can't blame A.J. Hinch for sticking with Derek Skubal in that situation. But it just goes to show that how good Lane Thomas is off lefties. He crushed the best one in the game right there.
Is he the most important person in this series? Because, I mean, is it him or Josh Naylor, whoever hits, depending on who's pitching for the other team? Because for me, we're going to do it later, ALCS X Factor. I said whoever hits it behind Jose. Because for me, that's the most important thing.
Yeah, offensively, no doubt. I would maybe even lean towards Naylor just because they haven't gotten much from him this postseason. And, he's had a really inconsistent season. At the end of the day, he was an all-star. It was a career year for him in terms of home runs and RBIs. But, he goes into some deep funks, and then he can also get as hot as anybody, and he can change a game with one swing, and he fires this team up. So, that's still lingering in there. It's still something we might see in this division series. I remember when they first got Josh Naylor in the COVID year and they played the Yankees in the playoffs, and he had not done anything in the regular season, and all of a sudden he was Babe Ruth out there in that very short wild card series here in Cleveland. So that guy can come out at any time, and if he does, that changes the complexion of the Guardians' offense a great deal. And then for me, just because it is such a bullpen oriented outlook for the Guardians, I'll just lean towards Cade Smith as the biggest X factor, just because. We talked about Andrew Miller coming in at any inning. I mean, Cade Smith fills that role right now for these Guardians. And if he's going to keep shutting people out the way he did in the division series, that's trouble for the Yankees.
I need you to confirm or deny my conspiracy theory that I read an article about how they removed those storage containers in right field. And that has contributed to the power uptick for this Cleveland Guardians lineup throughout this entire year compared to last year.
Well, that theory was working very well in the first half of the season, and then there was kind of a power outage in the second half. So I don't know if the ghosts of the shipping containers reared their ugly heads there, but I don't know, man. I'm definitely not smart enough to know wind patterns and all that kind of stuff. I know some people spent way more time on that than I did. At the end of the day, like, their offense was pretty well balanced in terms of how they performed at home versus on the road. And as I said, the second half, they were not nearly as strong an offensive club, a power club, as they were in the first half. So I'm gonna call bunk on that personally. But all I know is I don't miss the shipping containers. It looks a lot better out there in the upper deck and right field with the current alignment.
Yeah, aesthetically, it's better off now. Okay, I'm gonna run a quick soundbite from Yanks manager Aaron Boone on Mr. Underrated, and then we'll get your reply.
Okay.
Aaron, what makes Jose Ramirez such a good player?
Well, I mean, he's the complete package. I get on people all the time. If I hear another how underappreciated, underrated he is from somebody on a network or something, I want to rip my arms off and throw it at the TV. He's not underappreciated. He's not underrated. He's a great on a Hall of Fame track player, and everybody knows it, including all of us sitting out here.
Good call. But I
that. Disagree with him, what he's saying.
Why?
Because if you're not Anthony Castrovince, you're not Erik Kratz, you're not me, you're not Scott Braun, outside of Cleveland and probably maybe the AL Central, because they don't play on national TV that much. I mean, I did Fox this year, and I think we had Cleveland once or twice.
So is it a Cleveland thing?
No,
or
it's
Jose
a
Ramirez
national thing because Cleveland doesn't get the attention that other teams have gotten.
Okay.
And Jose just kind of goes about his business. He didn't really talk. He just kind of bebops around, always smiling. So that's what it is for me.
Well, Kratz, go ahead, and then we'll go to Anthony on this because my comp is I think a lot of people know who Ellie De La Cruz is because he's got loud numbers. He's a pretty demonstrative player, right? Like he's out there, and Jose is quiet. What, 39 homers, 40 stolen base, whatever.
Almost 40-40. He was almost 40-40. That's it.
All right, so Anthony, you decide. I mean, you're there. Do you feel it?
Oh, I still think he's underrated with all due respect to Taron Boone because, well, for one, it's Cleveland. Two, there's a language barrier. I think that plays into just marketability or whatever. Here in Cleveland, he's a legend. He's the GOAT. He's the guy. He's the guy who chose to stay in Cleveland, took a discount to stay here, build the team around me, and let's go. He's unbelievable presence in that clubhouse. But nationally, and I know in baseball we know about this guy, but I remember a couple weeks ago they put out the top jersey sales for the season. He's on the list. I think he was 17th. Do you think Jose Ramirez playing for the Yankees ranks 17th in jersey sales? I don't think so. I think he's probably top 5, So that's just one dumb metric to use to have this conversation. But I still think just inherently when you're in a market like this, you're not going to get the attention perhaps that you might deserve. And this guy is just on another level in terms of his intellect on the base paths, defensively, just how he plays the game, how he approaches pitchers. He really is something else. He's so fun to watch. Switch hitter with, can steal bases. You look at him, he's just so unimposing. He's 5'9", stocky. He was a non-prospect, and he's turned into, I think, a very real Hall of Fame trajectory. So it's been so fun to watch here.
Agreed. I think he's awesome. I love talking to him. He's always smiling. I mean, I know language barrier, but when I've gotten a chance to talk to him, he's spoken well enough to understand, and we've had nice conversations. He's a hell of a dude, a hell of a player. But let me ask you about this. It happened to me 2005. I was with the Giants, and a certain pitcher, his name is Brett Tomko. He said some things about me. And so in spring training, we faced him, and I told everyone, I'll put $100 in anyone's locker that goes deep off of him. So Joe Borchard hit a home run. There was $100 in his locker. Okay. And then the media said I was a bad human being for doing that. J-Ram offers $1,000 per homer or whatever, 500 per RBI. I mean, so Lane Thomas got paid, and everyone thinks it's great. So maybe he's way more overrated than I was.
What's wrong with that? What did they say?
They were just mad because what a bad guy. Who would do that?
What?
Yeah, no, Joe Borchard. Because what happened is, so I said it before the game. I put 100 in Borchard's locker. I left because I wasn't playing, so I left. And the media after the game comes up to him, and there's a fresh $100 bill, and they're like, "Why is there a $100 bill in your pocket?" He's like, "Oh, Pierzynski said whoever went deep off Tomko would get $100." And then of course they ran with it. Google it; it's a true story.
I believe that, but what was the problem?
I don't know. People were just like, "Oh, why would he do that?" What I don't know.
That's crazy.
But whatever. But I love this. I mean, listen, we had
yours was in spring training, you said?
I was in spring training, yeah.
So there you go. I think it's incentive. I think it's incentive structure where we all get hyped up for the postseason more than spring training. So maybe that's why there's more lean towards what Jose did. But I'm in favor. I'm in favor of anybody just handing out $100 bills in the clubhouse for achievements. I think that's great.
I agree. I mean, Kratz had a hitting coach once used to put a bounty on pitchers if you hit them with line drives.
Whoa. Kratz?
He did. I did.
Kratz also got paid for slipping on the orange carpet that went viral in Houston on opening day. So, yes, this is a thing. I actually give him credit, Anthony, because he was making spring training exciting.
Yeah, I'm all for that. Well,
spring training incentivized. I don't think anybody needs to get up for the playoffs.
AJ's been tossed from spring training, so I think he livens up that environment in a way it needs. I wish there was more of that.
Anthony, you know what you should do? You should go to Jose and say, "Listen, I'll take $1,000 for every time I get you published nationally, so that way you can't say you're underrated anymore, or underappreciated." And then maybe he'll just slip you a little envelope behind.
I had a media friend from New York text me and said, "You're obsessed with Jose Ramirez." I'm like, "Well, somebody's got to be. We got to get this, Because again, I know we know him in baseball, but I do think the casual fan needs to hear about this guy more than we do.
Was he a Yankees writer, or was he just an all New York writer?
Mets writer.
A Mets writer.
Oh.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I was trying to think of somebody. Anyway.
Careful.
He would have
These
been
guys,
just obsessed
these
with.
guys will try and start going down the line with you. You know.
It's probably easy to figure out.
Okay,
Yeah.
so how do the Guardians beat the Yankees? The
Yep.
Guardians beat the Yankees if they what?
If they continue to just get 67% of their outs or whatever it was in the first round from their bullpen, and the bullpen just keeps delivering. I know it's like we talk it till we're blue in the face, but it is that simple for me. That's the separator in this series. The Yankees rotation is the Guardians rotation might not be that far off from the Yankees. That kind of depends on Carlos Rodon tonight, and if Garrett Cole is anything like he was, against Kansas City, then definitely give the edge to the Yankees. But I don't think like total pitching staff wise, there's a great gap between these clubs. It just, to me, it comes down to how much the use from last round doesn't catch up with them at all. The schedule, a tighter schedule here with fewer off days, does that catch up to them? But man, it's just that simple. If that bullpen continues to come through, they can absolutely win the series because they catch the ball. They have some timely hitting, and they can put the ball over the fence more than they did in this series 2 years ago where they pushed the Yankees to the brink.
Anthony, okay, as an AL Central guy, clearly I played in the AL Central for like a long time, Twins
Yes,
and White Sox. I mean, come on, Guardians! You're the last bastion of hope. You're the last ones left. I mean, the Yankees have taken out the whole AL Central. You're the last ones left. Let's go.
It's crazy how close we came to a Guardians Royals or Tigers Royals ALCS. And I don't know if that would have been the favorite of MLB itself, but for this MLB writer who has been an AL Central apologist for decades now, that would have been manna from heaven. That would have been incredible. But yeah, these are the last guys standing from a division that was. I know some people said that these clubs only got in because they played the White Sox and that sort of thing, but it has trended in the right direction, and you got some good leadership in these places now. With the Tigers have turned they're beginning to look like a real threat. I think they're going to be a big threat this offseason to do some stuff. And the Royals obviously were aggressive last winter. It was great to see them rewarded for that. Bobby Witt Jr. is just he's incredible to watch on a regular basis. And the Guardians have had this going back a long time now. You go back to 2013, and they're top 3 or 4 in all of MLB in winning percentage. So. It's great to see some good things happening to a division that's been made fun of for a very long time.
You said the Guardians starting rotation isn't that far off based on what Carlos Rodon does. Quickly,
Well, I just think,
tell me, you're talking about they're choosing between 4 or 5 guys to start, and we're looking to get hopefully 7 innings out of the starting rotation from the Guardians.
No, it's just he's an X factor to me because he has not performed well on the postseason stage, and generally speaking, has not performed well in pinstripes. If he's the dude they signed, the Yankees rotation, I think, blows away the Guardians rotation. But we just haven't seen that yet. So, we saw him in that start against the Royals, comes out firing, strikeouts, amped up, and then you almost wonder if he, tired himself out. He was so so much adrenaline flowing there, and he really fell apart quickly. So which guy do we see? Because Carlos Rodon, I thought, like a lot of people, I thought that was a good signing for the Yankees. It hasn't turned out that way quite yet. But, if he steps up on this postseason stage and is that guy they signed, then that swings the series in a meaningful way. So that's why I think, it's so fascinating to see him get this game 1 opportunity.
By the way, the Guardians did not own the White Sox. They did not get in because of that. And second
That's right.
of all,
Everyone else did.
who left the division in 2013 and they all of a sudden the Guardians took off? Which player? I don't know.
Guardians lost.
Somebody left that division in 20.
Anyway.
Their last year in that division was 2012, and the Guardians took off. I don't know what happened.
So Mr. White Sox and Twin before that.
The White Sox were good then. The Tigers were good. So don't start that.
Tigers were good.
That's why you left. You knew you couldn't beat the Tigers.
Probably wanted to catch the Tigers with that rotation back then. But anyway. Anthony, awesome catching up with you. Great to have you on here for the first time. Appreciate it. Enjoy the series.
All right, guys. Thanks for having me. Good to see you guys.
Thank you. Good to see you too. Follow Anthony at Castrovince. Check out his articles on MLB.com, and the series starts tonight. We will have the post-game show on the Foul Territory YouTube channel, and you can also check out the Yankees Guardians post-game show on Pinstripe Territory as well. We'll talk more about that, and we'll get back into the other series again coming up on FT. Yeah, just another reminder, YouTube fan, because we're just talking to you for 2 minutes like we do in between commercial breaks. For the TV audience, first off, please subscribe to the Foul Territory YouTube channel if you're watching and you don't, because otherwise AJ is going to be very upset. And actually, Kratz is also going to be very upset. And you don't want to make both of them upset. So please subscribe there. Check out the podcast too, Spotify, Apple, the whole deal. Wherever you get your pods, please give us a little follow and a rating and review. And then also, we're hustling this month. So we'll have basically post-game shows all week with one of our channels. We'll do the post-game show tonight with the Yankees and the Guardians. The Dodgers Territory YouTube channel will have the Mets-Dodgers post-game show after that game happens. That's the earlier game today, the one that the West Coast fans are freaking out about. And I was just saying last night in their post-game show in the chat, why don't you just sleep in your car if you're at Dodger Stadium?
Did you see the traffic getting out of that place?
Awful.
Oh my God.
I mean, it's an old stadium. There's
But
only so much
there's
you
one
can
road
do.
in and one road out. It's that one road.
It was
And everything
bad.
funnels right into that one little tiny road.
Good for Dodger Territory ratings because people were just sitting there and they were like, can you make this show another 3 hours? Because this is how long I'm going to be in the parking lot. I was like, just sleep there. But anyway, so we'll have that. And then we just got some news in on the Yankees roster. So Rizzo's officially back. Stroman's back. And Ellis, Mr. Speedster, and Ben Rice are both off the roster for the ALCS. Go ahead, Kratz. What do you got?
Nothing. I sneezed.
Oh, okay. Well, those are the moves. Somewhat expected that Rizzo was going to come back, right?
Does Rizzo play all 7? Does he play all 7, or does he sit against lefties?
Sit. You know, John Birdie looked pretty good at first base. It's a good
John
athlete.
Birdie played awesome at first base.
Good athlete.
And
Yeah.
now he's their speedster. Now he's the guy with wheels. And I mean, Duke Ellis is no John Birdie, and John Birdie's not just a pinch runner. But I mean, it changes. It changes the look of this, and I have a hard time believing he doesn't play every game if they put him on the roster.
Yeah. Ellis was just there to grab a base, but I guess they don't need him. Right, Birdie can do it, but could have 2.
Stroman is the interesting. What do they do with Stroman?
Eat up innings if needed. If there's a blowout, Stroman can go 5. Right?
Whew, he hasn't
That's what you have
pitched.
him for.
That's tough. That's a tough ask.
Max Muncy is a media star, so he had a word for the critics in the NLDS. We are the effing best team in baseball.
I picked against him. So next time he comes on, you call me out, Max. I don't care. I thought you guys were going to lose. So I don't care.
Kike Hernandez might have felt the same way too.
Kike needs to come up with a new celebration. No offense, that would hurt.
the hip, whatever you want to call
I mean,
that.
because I wore a cup, so like he'd be coming at me with a cup. That would hurt.
That would hurt him. Yeah, exactly. And did you see what he said to Ken Rosenthal after
That was
game?
awesome. Ken wasn't real happy, but I
He's
loved
like,
it.
are we live? Okay, great. Boop.
Yeah. And Ken was like, check, please. Ken just quit it quick.
You did. Yeah, exactly. So anyway, let's get to what Max Muncy said to Big Poppy, because Poppy was not as honest as you and I about his selection in the NLDS.
They're talking about how the Padres are going to beat us, and
I picked you guys.
Did you?
He doesn't know. He doesn't even remember.
He forgot who he picked.
You know,
I
when you
got
pick
San
someone
Diego
else, you
5,
don't
man.
get paid by the team anymore. who you
I've been there before, Kevin.
Who you picking?
Hold on.
Who you got?
What's happening here?
Hurry up. San Diego. Fight game, homie.
Liar! He picked the Padres. Do you think he really didn't remember?
Yes.
He
I
didn't, right?
honestly would say yes. He
He
didn't remember.
doesn't remember that stuff.
No. He's got so many things going on.
But they're doing one series. He doesn't remember who he picked.
No, they were doing 2 at the time.
That's true. Right.
Yeah. I think he also picked the Phillies.
As somebody who called out Poppy on the Fox telecast post game one time, I appreciate this from Max. I called out Poppy because he had no idea that we were teammates before, and I called him out for it. He was like, "Hey, no way, Poppy, no." Oh, okay, I remember you now. You don't remember me. He's in his own. It's nothing. He wasn't trying to. I don't think he was trying to lie to Max. I think he just was being Poppy.
Yeah.
He does have a lot going on. Always. He's all over the place. All right, you're here today. He's one of those, here's your schedule for today. You're doing 30 things that will take you around for. You're going to go on this show, that show. But anyway, that was fun. That was funny from Max.
I love it. Max, bring it. Next time you're on, I don't care. Bring it. It's like, you know what? It's funny. Adam Wainwright, who I worked with this postseason. In 2011, the first year I ever did it, we have to make picks. And I was doing pre and post like David is. And they make you pick the series, and I picked whoever they were playing against to beat them. I don't even remember who it was. And then we went into the World Series, and we had to meet with Wainwright because we get to meet with the starting pitcher. Back then, you get to meet with the starting pitcher.
Mm-hmm.
Not so much, a little different now. But we got to meet with him, and he comes right. First thing he says to me is, "You picked against us. I'm not talking to you." And I go, "Well, yeah, you're right, because I thought they were better. So if you don't want to talk to me, fine, but I'm going to listen." And we laughed about it.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, I'm like, that's fine. But
I like that.
Yeah, I don't care. He's like, "What, you don't think we could win?" I was like, "No, I didn't think y'all would win. But you did, so way to go. You proved me wrong."
Right, exactly. You got to make a pick.
I'm wrong all the time.
Right.
You can ask my wife or you can look at my bets. You choose which one.
And Kike, hey, I know people had a problem with Kike, what he said. He'd set it up because it was live TV. I'm not saying we had a problem with it, but hey, at least he talked to Ken after the game.
True. Oof. That was bad karma for the Padres. They went down hard. Were you surprised at how bad they looked those last couple games after what they showed in the first few games?
Yeah, they look like. The Dodgers made some adjustments to them, I think.
Yeah,
pitching wise,
but their offense disappeared.
They also, I thought the Dodgers threw some more balls in at them. Like they didn't hit them, but there was some balls that were knocked them off the plate a little bit. They went more breaking ball heavy. I felt like. I think the Dodgers made some adjustments to what they were doing. And I liked what they did. And obviously the Dodgers, they shoved. They shoved 3 games in a row now.
But when the Padres were up a game, how many people thought that the Dodgers were coming back at that point?
Again, I picked the Padres, so I didn't think they were coming back.
Right.
I've never seen that stark of a change. Oh, wait, we saw that last year in the NLCS when the Diamondbacks made the adjustment on the Phillies. The Phillies were smacking the Diamondbacks. Not like the Padres were smacking the Dodgers, but it just turned on a dime. So to me, we've talked all about, the bullpen, Jack Flaherty last night. How about Will Smith? Let's give Will Smith some love. He created – when you're going bullpen games, I know you're just throwing dudes that are throwing – they're just throwing rockets and hammers and everything up at the guys, and it's just their best stuff versus the hitter. Will Smith is the guy that's back there navigating all of that. He is navigating through this lineup, understanding where Doc is in his bullpen and understanding who they're going to go to next, who you can pitch around, what areas you can go to with an arm from this way, an arm from this way, an arm from down here, an arm from up on top here. I think Will Smith needs to get way more credit for what has happened in this last 3 games. 33 and a third, I think. 33 and a third, straight scoreless. It's unbelievable.
That is unbelievable. To pull that off in the playoffs, you're playing the best teams, too. Presumably the better teams in baseball, the better lineups, the whole deal. That's amazing, the run that they're on. And the Mets offense has been good in this series, or in this postseason, up until game 1. Okay, one other little note here. So the Phillies are out. And great coverage on the Phillies show, part of the FT network. But also in The Athletic, Matt Gelb wrote that the Phillies will be connected to the biggest offseason prize, Juan Soto, all winner. He said that he's got a close relationship with hitting coach Kevin Long, and that it's not going to hold them back based on their outfield structure. Of course, it's not going to. No one's going to hold back what they have if they can afford to go for a player. They said they could move on from one or both of Marsh or Johan Rojas, and at the least, they will be able to drive up his price. And at the most, maybe they do go after him. I wouldn't be shocked if they're a player for him. Why not?
Listen, I saw John Middleton walking out of Citi Field. He was not a happy camper.
Mm-hmm.
He was not happy. I mean, he was motoring out of that place.
He was pissed.
He was pissed.
Yeah.
I mean, as he said, give me back my bleeping trophy, right? Yep. Which I get. They came up short. It happened. So they're gonna. Dave Dombrowski's not afraid.
Mm-hmm.
Sam Fold, who works for him, is not afraid, right? John Middleton's going to spend. He's already proven that he wants to win, which is awesome. As a player, you're like, yeah. Now, how do they do it? Listen, Johan Rojas, great center fielder, doesn't bring anything to the offensive side. Brandon Marsh is very hot and cold, right? I love Brandon Marsh. Great interview, great dude, great hair, great beard, all that stuff. Is he a guy that needs to play every day for you? If not, and if you can move, what do you do with Alec Boehm? Alec Boehm disappeared, right? I mean, he disappeared the last 3 weeks of the season, counting the playoffs. And they could, at one point, they benched him because he couldn't play, right? That sucks because Alec Boehm's a nice guy to talk to, but if you talk to people within, they say he's got some growing up to do, okay, which is fair, okay? I just don't know if they want to go out and spend the money to get Juan Soto and you throw him in the middle of this lineup, wow. With the pitching they already have and assuming that they're going to fix the bullpen with however they're going to do it, wow. Mm-hmm. I mean, the Phillies, wow.
Yeah, because the lineup was the problem. I mean, it was like 2.5 guys you were worried about. Harper, Castellanos, Schwarber to an extent. No one else did anything.
Well, Trey didn't do anything.
Nope.
I mean, after Harper, nobody did anything. Or after Castellanos, sorry.
Yeah.
I mean, JT, Boehm, all those guys, Marsh, they were like non-existent.
The lineup was
after Castellanos, it just fell off a cliff.
Stott had a down year overall.
Stott got big hits for him. I can't criticize Stott because he did have the huge hit off Diaz. I can't get on Stott. Stott also didn't play against Mania, which I thought was an interesting play. We played Edmundo Sosa.
Yep.
I mean, we can dig into it for hours if we want to really dig into it. But I can't criticize Bryson Stott. I thought Stott had a nice year, and I thought he came up in huge situations. Got a lot of big hits for him.
We can debate so many things with Soto, and we're going to debate it all off season. But I thought the very last comment that he made, Juan Soto wants to win a World Series. If that is his goal, he wants to win a World Series, then Philly has to be on his short list. But I think also what he wants to do is make the most freaking money possible. And that checks another box. Can the Phillies make that happen? The only way it's not happening by getting rid of Marsh and Johan Rojas's contracts. It might happen if you can put Johan Rojas or Marsh into a deal with Taijuan Walker. You get some of that money back because they're already right up against that draft pick threshold where they get the penalty. So to me, I think it makes plenty of sense. If there's an owner that wants it and they think this guy, because they lacked the ability to get on base when they weren't hitting home runs or when they weren't driving the ball. They chased too much. Juan Soto changes the lineup. Nobody will deny that. $600 million. Hoo-wee. Go for it.
Yeah, that's probably the price tag. So Tuesday we'll hear from Dave Dombrowski and Rob Thompson, manager and front office leader for the Phillies. And you can check out the Phillies show if you want more on what's going on with that ball club. And also they'll, of course, break down what is said at that press conference. There they are, Ruben, Jim, and Todd taking over all offseason to talk Phillies. We're going to announce a new show part of the FT network later in ours, but first we'll talk to Jerry Blevins on FT about Mets-Dodgers in a moment. All right, here we are for a couple minutes to do a quick injury suck report. Gavin Stone actually had shoulder surgery.
Awful.
So he's probably out for all of next year, and shoulder is the worst.
Shoulder is the one you don't want. Elbow, you can usually come back from. Shoulder is tough, man. There's not a lot of guys, Kratz will tell you, there's not a lot of guys that come back from the old shoulder surgery.
Not back to where they were. And Gavin Stone was already at a peak level. But what I see is guys that come back and the velocity, and then their command is just off. Because from talking to pitchers, when your shoulder hurts, you're just kind of, whatever it is for guys, like at the extension, it doesn't feel good. When they're loading up, it doesn't feel good. It's not like the elbow where you're like throw and then you're like, uh-oh, his shoulder is just a pain throughout. So he's young. I hope he can come back. If somebody can do it, I would trust the Dodgers to be able to get him back, but that's tough.
He's 25 years old. This is where you start to look at the problem in our sport and not just think about the owners who are worried about paying players that are on their payroll. This is not one of those. For this case, this is more of a players union agency kind of problem. Hey, here's a 25-year-old full of talent, could be a future $100+ million guy as a pitcher. And I mean, if he can't come back from this shoulder surgery, he didn't even make $1 million in his career.
That's why you got to get your money when you can. Don't hate on somebody who signs an early contract. Just saying.
You're right. And then, here's a guy who did get paid and has performed well when he's been on the field. Joe Musgrove had Tommy John surgery on Friday with Dr. Keith Meister. So he's under contract through 2027, but we're not going to see Joe until 2026.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Is that his second one? Do we know?
Yes, I think it is.
I thought when he got hurt, it was his second one. And talking to some of the guys on that team, he was pitching through stuff to make his last start there. Like if they didn't love Joe Musgrove before, they love him now because of what he pitched through and ultimately probably got him this Tommy John.
Yeah. All right, back with Jerry Blevins, former big league pitcher who's all over the scene with the New York Mets right now. We'll ask him about what's going on with this Mets lineup. Can they crack the Dodgers pitching staff? Here we go. Jerry Blevins back on FT. It's been a minute. You can see him on SNY here during this little run for the New York Mets right now. But how you doing, Jerry? How you liking this little run for the Mets?
I am doing great, Scott. Thank you. I thought you were going to introduce me when you were talking about guys getting paid, but then I remember I didn't do so great compared to Joe. It's been an awesome story, the Mets this year, the run that they've been on the last 3 weeks especially, some kind of special. I was worried that this delay, this little few days off that they have had, this is the first off day they've had since the hurricane in Atlanta. I thought they might have taken a deep breath and realized that baseball's still going on. And they showed it a little bit last night, but I still think they've got a really good game series against this team, especially with how good their starting rotation has been compared to the Dodgers.
All right, Jerry, before we dig in, I got three things for you. Okay. One, what pitch am I calling? Because we had all your signs at second base. You guys tried to be all sneaky. You and Derek Norris, it was like whatever you started. This was curveball. It was like what shoulder he touched was fastball on one side. We had them all, so appreciate it.
Cool, thanks. Didn't help you guys very much.
I once scored from first on a ground ball to third off of you pitching without a throw, but without a throw, by the way. I know you remember that. So I did get a hit off you.
But that sounds familiar.
Yeah, in Chicago, he was pitching, and I was on first, and I stole, and Alexi Ramirez hit a ground ball to third, and I just never stopped and scored all the way. And then third, you got me a hitter violation because it was 3-2, and it was when the new rules came in. It was 3-2, and I stepped out for a second, and they were like, I got an email from the league saying, you can't step out of the box in the middle of an at-bat. And I was like, it's 3-2, like the base is loaded. I was like, I needed to take a break. He struck me out.
There was no punishment.
But he struck me out, but I still got a warning letter, which is fun. So,
yeah,
so
I got a few
some
letters.
good things off you, Jerry, some bad things, but it's fine.
That's okay. And yeah, I could have used some pitch comm. How about that?
Yeah, there you go.
Hey,
there you go.
You definitely needed the pitch comm.
They thought
because
all these signs, sneaky. They thought
all these signs didn't help AJ. He was 1 for 8 off of you. There was no
got one though. I got that one, and it's a memorable one.
We did switch them up a little bit. We did so it was like face mask indicator. We had cutters, and then the knees were fastballs, and then we would switch fastballs, chest curveball, cup changeup. We would switch it up.
Ah, see, well, we had them. Didn't help me.
So crafty.
All right, let's get back to the Mets now. Let's get back to the Mets. I think you were listening to what I said because I said exactly what you said at the beginning. They've been traveling from here, there, and everywhere, no breath. After seeing them during the Phillies series, they were just riding on adrenaline. And then they get 3 days off, which is not a bad thing But then I think they got to look around and were like, oh man, we're actually in the NLCS against the Dodgers. We might not be supposed to be here, but this is the stage. So I don't know. I kind of agree with you. Plus, they just ran into a buzzsaw with Flaherty, and Senga just didn't have it.
Yeah, I again, you nailed it, because they've been playing back-to-back baseball, even with the the doubleheader. These guys hadn't had a chance to realize how amazing this storybook that they were writing is. It was so special, this run that they went on. The way New York embraced this team, the Mets fans are always there, but truly the way like MLB kind of took a look at what was going on. They played the Island game on the last day of the season. They haven't had a chance to take a deep breath, and sometimes that's a good thing. I think ultimately it'll be a good thing because they got to rest their bullpen, which was so taxed. They had to dip into it a little bit last night because you're right, Senga didn't have it. He's been kind of a bonus because he hasn't thrown but 3 outings now since spring training. And so for him to get any innings out would be a bonus. And the truth is, it buried him yesterday, but they have enough firepower to dig their way out. This is a great Dodgers team, and I think the home field advantage that LA has is underappreciated because it's a tough place to play, especially with that bullpen. AJ, I'm sure you remember, Kratzy too. It's such a weird bullpen from a visiting standpoint. You can't see the game, what's going on. You have no idea what the count is because there's nothing around to tell you what's going on. And then the environment is electric, especially when the team is great, and this team is great. But I expect the Mets to be resilient. They've done it all season long once they started this run, to be able to bounce back. They have the leadership in Lindor, with JD Martinez. These guys have constantly kept the hitters, especially the young guys like Vientos, focused on what they need to do to be victorious, and they've bounced back so many times this year. I expect them to do the same thing tonight.
Well, this is the lock game for them. They're going to, this afternoon when they play, because
Right.
look at who the Mets have beaten. They've beaten the Brewers bullpen, the Phillies bullpen, and so who's throwing against the Mets tonight? The bullpen. They can't touch a starting pitcher. Is there something to that? Is that just, what's happened in the 7 postseason games that they've played so far?
I think it's the way they've been going about their at-bats. They always talk about approach, and it's easy to have one. It's more impressive to be able to deploy it. They take advantage of any of the walks. They've been able to move guys over, kind of like what LA did when they got a guy on first, not afraid to bunt him over or hit behind him. And it's a way for them to clear their head because they don't have to worry about anything. They can just focus in on the next guy up, really worry about who's on deck and just try to get on base somehow. They were right before the hurricane hit in Atlanta, everybody was pressing, even the first 2 games in Milwaukee, trying. Everybody wanted to be the hero, hit the big home run, get the huge RBI double. Then after that, they came back to Atlanta. They just were like, all right, let's just pass the baton, find a way to get on base, and then the guy behind you will do his job and so on. I think that's what they do when they talk about a bullpen game, because they erase everything that they're trying to say, watch out for Flaherty's knuckle curve that goes in the dirt. They get rid of a lot of that and simplify things. And I think it works out for the way their team and their lineup is set up.
How serious do you think this Brandon Nimmo injury is for the ball club? And you always have that balance of how bad it is and if it's worth playing a guy if he's X percent, right? Like you need him to contribute. It's the playoffs.
Yeah, enough for them to mention it. We don't have hockey rules where, you have to say lower body injury, and we don't have any type of requirements to kind of tell the media what's going on. So the fact that it's out there, the fact that he's been dealing with it, plantar fasciitis is painful, especially, when you're trying to run around a ball in the gap or something like that. But Nimmo's as tough as they come. He's as team-oriented as it comes. If he feels, and that's one thing that Lindor did too at the end with his back. Lindor's I play every single game regardless, but he realized he wasn't going to be helping the team with how little he could do while it was in a really bad state. I think if Nimmo feels like that he can't help this ball club, he'll take a back seat, let himself heal, and allow another guy to come in and play.
So, Jerry, was 2015 the best team season of your career? Was that like the best ride and the most fun?
So I didn't get a chance to be on that ride. I was rehabbing. I took that line drive. I've got a metal plate in my wrist. So I didn't really get to feel the full ups and downs of it. But my favorite season for me was in 2012 in Oakland, when we chased the Rangers down in 162. Just an absolutely special run. But the 2015 team, I wasn't allowed to be on the road as much as I can. So I can't vouch for it, but it was special to be around the clubhouse when they were at home.
Did they let you at least?
Did they make you buy tickets?
Yeah. Did they make
you buy tickets like they did Zach Wheeler?
See, that I didn't get to go to the World Series because of Zach. Like Zach Wheeler got the same treatment as me, and I just went home.
So did Zach Wheeler because he wasn't buying tickets.
Yeah, they told him
exactly.
You can't be around. You got to buy tickets. He's like, peace. I'm going to shove it.
That policy has changed. So
it has.
There's been a lot.
Yes. There's been a lot that's changed. I actually, we still had our lease in the city, and my wife and I love New York. So I watched the game, at the local bars or at home with my wife while we were just enjoying vacation.
All right, so I was trying to tee this up. So you remember, obviously, the 2015 run quite a bit, as you said. Bill Simmons, who I've followed for years, and I like him, he was like, the difference between this Mets team in 2015 is they didn't have a superhero in 2015. And when I heard him say that, I was like, William, please. Daniel Murphy had 7 home runs. He was insane. And I love Lindor. He's been a beast for them, right? I mean, they wouldn't be in the playoffs, of course, without even just what he did in the last week or two of the season. But he's got 1 home run in the playoffs, obviously the huge granny. Daniel Murphy was on another planet. I think he also qualifies as a superhero, just like Francisco does. Agree?
I completely agree. That 2015 is summed up in 2 things for me. It's Yoenis Cespedes, when he got traded over, he was a superhero. We rode him to the playoffs. And then Daniel Murphy turned into the player that we saw when he signed with Washington. He switched a philosophy up, started with the launch angle thing, and then became a superhero. We rode him to the World Series. True superhero status, but Francisco Lindor has been doing superhero stuff since he moved back into that leadoff spot. Capitalized with the 2 superhero moments of the home run in Atlanta and then the huge grand slam to push them to this series. I love Bill Simmons. I think the Rewatchables is my favorite podcast out there. But Francisco Lindor is a superhero right now. They need him to do some crazy things right now again in this series.
Matt
All
Harvey?
right, cool.
Matt Harvey wasn't a superhero?
Yeah, Matt Harvey. Yeah. Exactly.
I mean, if TC, since he allowed him back out, went 1, 2, 3, also superhero.
Yeah.
True.
What about they had
to
Thor
go back
on that
out,
team?
and Hosmer got him. And Lucas Duda is a superhero in my heart. So
he might be one of my favorite teammates. He's incredible human. So he's got that going for him.
Yeah,
we might
have Thor on that team
again. By the way, Lucas is not a fan of the spotlight. I'm not sure where he's hiding. He could be anywhere.
A cave. He's in a cave.
He's a big dude, though. Can't hide that well. But you're right. Thor also was a literal superhero nickname. So, Jerry, awesome to have you on here. Enjoy the series. Thanks for stopping by. Good to see you.
All right. Pleasure, gentlemen. This is me saying goodbye to AJ.
Oh,
okay. It's more like
now you know what he's going to
Catholics.
Throw. You know where he's going right now.
That's good Catholics, Jerry.
Appreciate you, Jerry.
Later, gentlemen.
Later.
Thank you.
Make sure you follow Jerry on the socials and also check him out on SNY and also more coverage, of course, part of the FT Network. These guys are freaking out right now. The Mets Up podcast is part of the FT Network. Go check it out on YouTube or wherever you get your pods. Be right back on FT.
Giraffe neck.
Giraffe neck, Mark. So did you guys see that? And then also, the national pundits come into play when you get to this time of year. So I think it was quick. I didn't get to see the clip, but there were a bunch of articles
By the way, it
Colin
looks like I'm
Coward
super
said-
pity, but I'm really not. It's just
No, it's just the darkness of the shirt.
Shadow.
I see. I can vouch.
I know.
can vouch.
I was
We
like,
need
but it
to-
scared me.
We need to
He's
give our
nervous.
own. We needed to give our own. All the national guys they're on baseball right now, and they're kind of takes. We need Scott to give us his NFL take, so that they don't feel so bad. Scott will be
I only had one take that I live off of for the past 3 to 4 years, because I read all about that case. I was like, Deshaun Watson's a monster and he's gonna suck, and he sucks. He is the ultimate karma player in all of sports. That's a bad contract, but otherwise in the NFL, I mean, I'll do what Coward did. He said that it would be a juicy potential World Series matchup with the Padres and the Mets. It would be juicy because it would not be possible. Just like trading Shohei Ohtani for a first-round pick last year on that show, also not possible.
Yeah, I don't know. I did get to do
didn't you go on
Carton's show the other day?
How was
though?
that? Did you guys?
It was fine because I
duke it out?
Schlereth,
Yeah.
and who's like super tight with
Mark
Adam
Schlereth.
Amin, who's awesome.
He's
And then
good.
Danny Parkins, who's a Chicago guy, was great. And then I got one little small shot in on Carton. At the end, it was right after the hurricane. I said, hey, everyone pray for the hurricane. And Craig Carton, I'm sorry, the Rays are going to have to find a new way to cheat since their stadium's destroyed. Since you thought he was like, oh, what? And then I'm like, oh, gotta go, guys. See you later.
Nice.
Parkins
for
is
anyone that
awesome.
forgets.
Danny Parkins is awesome.
Yeah, and so is
He's good.
Schlereth.
Schlereth's great.
I
I've
don't
been
know
following
him,
him for years. He's the guy. He was NFL, ESPN for years.
Oh no, I know
was
who
on
he
the
is.
show.
Yes.
Schlereth. And now he's
Oh,
at
no.
Fox
So
for years.
Schlereth at the beginning was partners with Adam Amin on Fox
Right,
NFL forever,
for NFL
right,
games,
until this
yep.
year. And so Adam always said good things. So when I went on, I said, hey, before I get started, Mark, I want to say Adam Amin told me to tell you hello. And
Yep.
Parkin's like, what about me? And I was like, nope, just Mark, not you, Danny. And he got all like, oh, what do you mean? We go way back.
But for people that forget, Carton, when he was with WFAN, was on with whoever, and they were like, the Rays are probably cheating or something because they're too good. So we obviously smacked back that. Then we had a little fun back and forth with WFAN. And here we are, still kicking as a show. So we'll be right back. We're going to do a tell of the tape with the ALCS.
I don't think they missed. Is our mics on?
Probably. I think we are. Make the world hear this. All right, let's sizzle. Hot corner time. Since this series hasn't started yet, we'll do a tell of the tape on the ALCS. That's the game tonight, and then we also get to talk about that game later. So let's do this. Yankees, Guardians. We're going to go through certain parts of the ball club and see where you think the edge lies. Let's start with the starting rotation. AJ's up first.
Starting rotation is the Yankees.
Okay.
For me, just because we don't know who or what they're going to get out of the Guardians. Plus, they have guys like Matthew Boyd that go 2 innings and they take them out. So for me, it's the Yankees have a much better starting rotation.
Yeah, I don't think it's close.
No, I don't either.
Yeah. Eric?
Not even close. Not even close. That's why I was surprised at what Anthony said about how, if Rodon doesn't do well, that'll be, it might mean that the starting rotation is closer. I don't think this is even close. As we break these down, I don't think many of them are very close, but we'll get to it. But the Yankees have Stroman in the bullpen, whether he's not healthy or he's not, where he should be. They put one of their starting pitchers in the bullpen. Guardians did not do that. So
let's go a step further.
Easy.
Stroman starts game 2 if he's on the Guardians. No?
Yeah, he might start game 1 if he's on the Guardians.
Yeah.
And how they got there.
Right. That sums it up. No, Kratz?
I mean, Bibby's starting over Stroman.
Right. So,
yeah, but
okay.
depending on how they get there. If Bibby pitches game 5 like he did, then guess what? Stroman will probably be starting tonight for the Guardians.
He's starting playoff games
sure.
if he's on the Cleveland
100%.
roster. Okay, so bullpen. Kratz, you go first.
Cleveland. Again, this isn't even close. I mean, I love what Weaver's done. I think Cousins is very underrated. I think Tommy Kahnle is going to get huge punch-outs for this team. But Cleveland Guardians, watch a series. Look at the stats. It is unbelievable. And if I was Stephen Vogt, I would do the exact same thing he's been doing.
Mm-hmm.
Ride them till they die.
Yep.
Ride them till they die, boys. because that's what he's doing. It's Guardians. Again, this isn't even close. To me, it's the Guardians. I think that the Guardians bullpen has got them to this point, not their starting pitcher, and they're going to have to hope and pray that they can all hold up and can do it again. First time through 7-game series, because that's their path to winning. Even Anthony said it. Their path to winning is their bullpen has to be unbelievable.
Yep.
Now, will they be worn out? There's a good chance.
I don't know about this series, but you know what I'm not buying stock in? Those guys long term, if they use them like this. I am concerned for these guys long term. I mean, these are young pitchers.
Like Class A started showing some wear and tear even in the Detroit series. He gave up the home run. He started giving up some runs. He was giving up hits. His stuff just wasn't as sharp because he's pitched every game. Smith has thrown every game, right? These guys have thrown like every single game.
It's not normal for the modern arm.
No, but we'll see how they can do it.
Yeah, it might get you through a postseason. Our buddy who comes on the show sometimes, Jim Bowden, said it was the best bullpen he's ever seen, ever. In his years covering the sport. And he was the GM, I think, for the Nasty Boys with the Reds and all that. He was like the most complete, best bullpen he's ever seen because of how many good arms there are, right? It's not 2 or 3 guys. It's not a big 3, right? It's like 5 or 6 that you're feeling pretty comfortable about. Lineup, AJ?
Yankees. I mean, look at the lineup. I mean, any lineup that starts with Soto and Judge, I mean, it automatically wins. I mean, then you go Stanton, who's been a monster in the postseason. Throw in some of the other guys that are there. I mean, I think that the lineup, this is easy for me. They have power. They can hit homers. They have names. They have dudes that can steal you a base when you need them to. I mean, they got Rizzo hitting 8th tonight. Guardians, he'd probably be hitting 4th. So it's easy Yankees lineup.
Yeah, Glaber's hitting well.
Glaber's swinging
Jazz could provide a punch at a moment's
Wells
notice.
Wells has got a shot to do some stuff.
Yeah, Kratz, I'm assuming, same page.
Ditto. Like it's tough to even like give reasons more than what AJ said. Like their lineup is stacked. I get it with Rizzo in there. I don't know that right now he would stack into their 4 to hitting 4th for the Guardians, but they're just I think it's no contest. Not to take anything away from Hosey. J-Ram is a player, but they've got 2 guys in the Yankees lineup that are better than him, in Soto and Judge.
Okay, now you're going to have dissension. I mean, I hope. Give me an X factor, Kratz.
Giancarlo Stanton. I said before the last round against the Royals, I thought it was going to be Austin Wells. And we talk all the time about lengthening lineups in a regular season. You want to keep your lineup length. But G lengthens this lineup. If G is hitting 5th, I doubt I see them moving him, to 4th to protect Judge. But Giancarlo Stanton, and I saw it in Cleveland when we went there for the COVID season, the wild card series, and then he took it all the way into San Diego and just was annihilating baseballs. This guy, when he is locked in, he is an X factor. And people will be like, oh, well, who cares? He's got 449 career home runs. Yes, he in this lineup makes this lineup unstoppable if he is postseason Giancarlo Stanton, because you just can't pitch through the entire thing, kind of like the Dodgers top of their lineup. You can't pitch through everybody without getting some damage. So G is the X factor.
Yours?
Mine is whoever hits behind Jose Ramirez, whether it's Lane Thomas or Josh Naylor, because someone's going to have to protect him. And tonight it'll probably be Lane Thomas with Carlos Rodon starting, but I think they have to do something in order to get J-Ram something to hit. And J-Ram can do some damage if he's giving pitches. Now, when he's not giving pitches, unlike a lot of guys like a Soto or a Judge, he will go outside the strike zone and chase a little bit. So I think they have to be hot, because if they're going well, J-Ram will stand up there and he will take his walks, and then he'll let Lane Thomas or Naylor drive them in. But if they're not doing anything, take the over on walks. I know Kratz is later, but take the over on walks on J-Ram every game.
You know how you say, oh, there's some guys, he's got holes, you can beat him, especially in a postseason series you execute. Is Naylor one of those guys, or could he just blow up? He could
just blow up like Anthony said. Like, he is like this, and right now he's like down here. Mm-hmm. So if he just figures it all of a sudden, I mean, he hits righties, lefties, he's
yep.
I mean, it's like one at bat, he like all of a sudden figures it out. It's crazy.
Yeah, I think someone like that needs to go nuts if Cleveland's going to have a shot here.
Yeah.
Winner of the series, AJ?
I picked the Yankees in 6 to win this.
Okay.
I think the Yankees are going to win this. I think they're going to go to the World Series. They're more of a complete team than me, the Guardians. Sorry, Steven Vogt. Sorry, Cleveland fans, but I just think they're more of a complete team.
A 5-game series, I think the Guardians have a much better shot. You get to a 7-game series, I think the Yankees get them. I would agree. Either 6, but I would love to see it in 7.
Yeah. I got the Yankees too, but I think it'll go 7. And I'll wait for this, but I think Cleveland's going to be a problem tonight, but we'll see. I think they could jump out.
Well, they got to fully rested everything.
Yeah, you're coming
depending on how Cobb does starting.
Yeah, and I do believe in that quickie momentum coming off a high of a series, dropping in. Yankees 1-4. It's been a few days, whatever. Sometimes, I think often you see a little bit of a lethargic team on one end or the other, just because they weren't riding that same high.
4-2, the Yankees were against the Guardians this year. 4-2.
Okay. So we'll see what happens.
That equals 6 games, Kratz. That's what I picked. 6.
That is 6 games. We have a post-game show after Yankees Guardians, so we'll let you know what's going on. So does Derek. So you've got double post-game.
Oh, we going
shows.
dueling post-games?
We're battling.
We're going against Derek. We win.
Battling pinstripe territory, which is tough. But you should check out both. Go to one live, then check out the other after. They're not that long. It's like 20-ish minutes. Be right back to announce our newest show. What's up, FT fam? Yeah, we're going to have the post-game show after Yankees Guardians. So we'll have something for you almost every day this week. Not always from us. Could be from one of our other shows.
But by the way,
we'll be live.
Michael Rowland, I don't know, this is kind of funny. He says Stanton is a known factor, not an X factor, which I kind of agree with. Stanton's done a lot more in the postseason. I don't know that he's really an X factor because every postseason he's appeared and he's done some damage. Yeah, so is he really an X factor
different than a known factor? I'm not saying he's
an X factor is like an X factor is something that you think needs to happen that no one's really talking about. Mm-hmm. Everyone knows Stanton just raked against the Royals.
He needs to, but to me, I don't think the Yankees win if he doesn't do well because you saw Austin Wells didn't do well, and you say, okay, if Stanton's not doing well, like what happens in that Royals series if Stanton doesn't? Stanton was the X factor. I disagree with you, Roland. I disagree.
He also said Jose finished top 10 MVP voting 6 times. Will he capture MVP at some point during his career? Jose Ramirez.
No, because he's in the wrong league.
Because Judge
he went 40-40 this year. He went 39-40, and no one talks about him.
But
I disagree. I think he will.
You think he'll win an MVP?
He's running out of time now.
He's running out of time a little bit.
Judge is still in that league.
Bobby Witt's just getting
cranked up.
I think that Gunnar Henderson has
Gunner's got a shot.
Yeah,
but it's not like Jose's. It's not like Jose's got 1 or 2 more years. He stole 39 bags this year.
Luis Robert, he stole 40. Luis Robert Jr.'s got a shot. He's just getting going.
If he comes, he's 32 years old.
You say Luis Robert Jr.
Eloy Jimenez is just kicking off his career.
You're such a troll.
What about Yohan Moncada? He's going.
Yohan Moncada.
He's going to American Idol. All right, so
hey, he's no Candelita.
No, he doesn't have a hit, no smash with Pitbull. But wait, on Jose Ramirez, for me, I don't think he'll end up winning an MVP, but I think that he is going to be in the Hall of Fame because I think he's going to keep.
He's on a track like this. He's on a track when you start digging into his numbers. He's definitely on a Hall of Fame track. If Manny Machado's on a Hall of Fame track, so is Jose Ramirez.
Oh yeah. Jose Ramirez, I think, is going to be a Hall of Famer. Obviously, if his career ends tomorrow, no. But if he does a few more seasons he's been doing, even close to what he's been doing, he's in.
Yep.
Yeah. All right, coming right back to announce a new show as part of the FT Network. All right, here we go. We got a lot of people involved on this next segment for good reason. We are announcing a new show as part of the FT Network. This will technically make it 10 total shows if we're including the team shows, fair territory, foul territory, Baseball America Hot Sheet, the whole deal. So welcome to the party, Cody Stavenhagen from The Athletic, who covers the Tigers, who we've had on here before, and Kieran Steckley, who is part of the old Turn in the Corner pod talking about the Detroit Tigers, top Tigers show out there, podcast-wise, and digital show on YouTube, and now called Tiger Territory. Nice and simple. If you can't remember that, you got problems. So the timing is fresh off this Tigers season. Congratulations. Welcome to the FT Network and the FT fam. Cody's talked with us plenty. I'll let him follow you. But actually, Kieran, why don't you lead the way, man? Great to have you on as part of the team, and go tell everyone why they should listen to Tiger Territory.
Well, thanks for having me. First of all, it feels great to be part of the family. The reason to listen to Tiger Territory is simple. Cody and I have been best friends since college, and it's by pure coincidence that he covers the Tigers, and I am a lifelong Tigers fan. Actually, my dad was Al Kaline's paperboy. My great-grandfather did the score changes at, I think it was Bennett Park at the time. So, like, lineage, as you can see behind me, lineage of Tigers fandom. And then for Cody, like, when he first got on the beat, we would just talk on the phone about the Tigers. And so eventually, kind of the old story, right? It's like, why don't we do a podcast? And so we did, and we've been doing it the whole AJ Hinch regime, which feels long and short at the same time. But it's really just, a couple guys talking baseball specific to the Tigers and having a good time. I always say that our podcast is really no different than those phone calls. It's just cleaner language. Like, it's just talking baseball theories, smart takes, looking at it from a unique perspective. And obviously Cody's work is a big catalyst for that. And I try to match that with the way I think about the game, coming from, like I said, a lifelong Tigers fandom and an appreciation of the history, with also like what's moving forward with this team. It's a great time to be here. It's the most exciting time for the Tigers fans in a long time. So I feel like we're joining at the right time. Would have been better with the CS berth, but I think we're still joining at the right time.
Yeah, there's going to be some action in the offseason, as Cody can probably tell you. But Cody, yeah, welcome. We've had you on before, but give us your take, and you can mix in what you've seen so far from the Tigers over the past couple of weeks and what you're expecting, as you guys are going to cover this team with multiple episodes in the offseason. Oh, wait, Cody, you look like you're bringing the passion, but you're a little bit muted. Oh, there he is. You're good.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we got you now.
I don't know what that was about.
Before,
all right. Well,
but we got
thanks for officially welcoming us to the family. Yeah, I'm excited to be a part of this. I've covered the Tigers for 6 years now, and as Kieran alluded to, this is probably really the first time, I think the city of Detroit is behind this team. There have been some fits and starts where it felt like this team had good things going for it, but now they finally have a playoff berth. I think you look up and down the organization, it's the healthiest it's been, in my time around the team. And as far as our show, there's a lot of noise out there. We kind of try to cut through some of the ridiculous takes, some of the hot takes. We try to have some insightful, measured discussion. But yeah, we have a lot of fun at the same time. We're not above joking around. We have some running gags that we go to on the show. Like, I think that's our number one goal is like to be smart, to be informative, but to also make Tiger Territory something worth listening to, something a little different than what you're going to hear on talk radio or even other podcasts that might be out there. I think we have our own unique chemistry, our own unique brand, and those who have listened to us throughout the years, we appreciate you guys so much because you've been loyal and you come to us week after week, and now we can come to you guys with more backing multiple times a week, more video, and I think it's going to be a lot of fun.
Okay, first of all, y'all couldn't have come on before they lost. Like, I don't understand. But I see Kieran and his little Lions thing. So I don't know if you can see this. Bear down, bitch. Sorry, but that's upcoming later, right? I mean, like the Lions did in the NFC Championship. The Tigers went there this year. But how much did it hurt to watch that? I mean, it was such a great run, and you think you're going into Game 5, you have Scooble going, and you're thinking like, oh man, we got this. We're going to the LCS to play the Yankees, and then Lane Thomas is one swing. Like, describe the emotions as a fan, like you guys are. I know, Cody. You work, so you're not supposed to be a fan, but like, describe the emotions when that swing happened, and you just knew. Like, you looked at Scooble. I felt so bad for Scooble because he had carried them to this point, and in one swing, it was almost like the emotions hit him. Like, they showed him on the bench, and he was like, oh, like he just knew, right?
Yeah, it was like, you mentioned the Lions. It kind of felt similar to the NFC Championship game that you alluded to a little bit. It was, this whole time we were worried, I would say, about like, when will the clock strike midnight? and I'll even throw in Game 4, Bo Brisky. It just kind of felt like was there regression to the mean with the way that the Tigers were pitching, and you were hoping that it would, get by for 7 more outs in Game 4 or, throughout Game 5, but you couldn't necessarily have been surprised when Brisky, as lights out as he had been, just left a fastball a little bit too middle. And then Skubal, was he going to go the entire postseason without giving up a run? Those are unrealistic expectations. So it's kind of like a numbing feeling from a fan's perspective because you're so excited. You're trying to keep the right perspective about how amazing this run was, but it still was very abrupt. And then you kind of have to grapple with, is this kind of dream over? And, and like I said, you keep the perspective of how you got here, but then you get into the moment and all you want is more and more and more. I just think they kind of ran out of gas a little bit. And like I said, it was still within the expected outcomes, but just, you mentioned like home runs. I mean, I got David Ortiz flashbacks to 2013 too. So I come on foul territory and all we do is bring up bad memories in my sports life. So, it's a good start for me, I guess.
All right, well, since we're all new to Tiger territory, welcome, boys. But I got to know, if I'm part of the Tiger territory, are we a streak or are we an ambush? Because that's a group. That's what Google tells me is a group of Tigers is either called a streak of Tigers or an ambush of Tigers. So you guys need to fill us in, us non-Tiger fans.
Well, you've put way more thought into it than I have. I'm going to go with an ambush. Like that just
sounds ambush, of course.
Right? Pretty simple.
Okay, so since we're an ambush of Tigers, how many Tigers are we going to add to our ambush this offseason? And which types of ambush are we going to add to our group here?
If I were the head of the Tigers ambush, I would want to add at least one really big, strong, powerful Tiger. I don't make those decisions. We did talk to Scott Harris, the president of baseball operations today, and like a lot of execs are this time of year, he wasn't very committal about much of anything. He said their biggest additions need to be young players making internal progress, but he said there would be external additions as well. For me, I look at the corners. I think I said this last time I was on here. Third base or first base, you have a chance to go get a hitter, a veteran, proven bat who can impact this team. And there are probably multiple ways you can construct it. Knowing this front office, they might try to be creative, maybe look at the trade market a little bit. But a guy like a Christian Walker, who's a veteran, could make a lot of sense to me. We'll see if they'd be in on spending for Alex Bregman. There's Pete Alonso. There are guys like that out there. I think they should target the high end to supplement a talented young core that they have.
And there you go, Cody's tweet right there. So I'm going to add a little more news because we don't hold back, right? We're independent. We can say whatever we want. We have off-season plans for Tiger territory, even though we just started with them. Austin Jackson is also going to be a part of Tiger territory. We can announce that right here, and we'll have Ajax on at some point. Kratz, you played with Ajax, right?
Yep. And
you played against him.
Still keeping contact with him. That dude's been through every awesome dude.
Awesome. We're excited about that. So, Cody, if you want to just give us a quick minute on Austin Jackson's tenure with Detroit and, how he's obviously been involved within the community there and what he can bring to the mix, a little player perspective in some of the shows that you guys do.
Yeah, I think Austin's a memorable Tiger, and it was funny. I was looking at his baseball reference just the other day. I was like, oh, he wasn't actually a Tiger for all that long, but he was a really good, exciting young player, an elite defender for some very memorable and good winning Tigers teams. That's one of the reasons we targeted him as someone we would like to have on the show. Just this past year, he won the Tigers Willie Horton African American Legacy Award, which is kind of a big deal in the Tigers community. Yeah, I think that's what it comes down to. Everyone I talk to seems to love Ajax and remembers his Tigers tenure very fondly.
Absolutely. Let's talk a little more current or ex-Tigers. Do the Tigers make this run if they don't trade Jack Flaherty? The Dodgers are like, thank you, Scott Harris. Thank you, AJ Hinch. Thank you, Detroit, for giving us our game one starter who just shoved it up the Mets. But do they make this run if they don't make some of the moves that they made at the trade deadline?
Well, to me, go ahead, Cody. You can go.
All right. Yeah. I mean, I think it's fair to say no, which is crazy. I mean, I saw the Bob Nightingale tweet last night. It's like, the Tigers would still be playing if they had Flaherty. If they had him in the playoffs, maybe, but I don't think they get to the playoffs if not for the moves that were made. It was odd in that it led to a complete reconstruction of their pitching, which seemed to make no sense at the time, and then it ended up working absolute wonders. The Tigers had the best ERA in the league for the final 2 months of the season, and in exchange for Flaherty, in addition to a borderline top 100 prospect and Tyron Lorenzo, they get Trey Sweeney, who was their primary shortstop down the stretch and played pretty well, played really good defense, and did just enough to hold his own with the bat. That was obviously a position that was a major problem when Javi Baez was healthy, and they had some other guys, Zach McKinstry and Ryan Kreidler, fill in there. But Trey Sweeney made some huge contributions. He made some huge plays down the stretch. So oddly enough, you can draw a pretty direct line and be like, it'd be nice to have a few starts of Flaherty, but the staff actually performed even better without him, and they got a boost at shortstop.
Mm-hmm. Go ahead, Kieran.
I was just going to say, I kind of look at the trade deadline in its entirety, and like when they sold off Chafin and Kelly and, traded Flaherty, and, Cody and I were like waiting for, that trade to go through. And Scott was adamant, Scott Harris, president of baseball operations, like right afterward, that like Sweeney was no throw-in. Like they identified Sweeney back to when he was with the Yankees, and they really liked him. Now you look at his numbers, they're not like, they're not going to jump out at you, but he probably made the most memorable defensive play in the last 10, 15 years in Tigers history by getting that in-between pop-up against Baltimore. Kind of saved their postseason hopes. And I think just the overall turn of the youth movement, because that was something they teased a little bit like before the season. But then when you're putting in Gio Urshela, and then you're putting Javier Baez out there, and what his numbers speak for themselves as well, it didn't necessarily feel like a real youth movement. Mark Canha kind of put in that category too. And then the trade deadline happens, and it's like it's just the kids. The kids are just playing baseball, and Sweeney fit right in. I know Cody had said that when he would talk to him, was like, does he realize kind of what he's doing here? It's a weird circumstance. And Sweeney would just be like, I don't know, playing baseball. And, that was kind of, I think, the mindset of the team. It's like, I don't know, we're just playing baseball, having fun, winning some games. So specific to Flaherty, yeah, it'd been nice to have Flaherty in the rotation. But I look at, like, the way they did an organizational shift at the trade deadline as a whole as kind of the catalyst to how they got into the postseason.
Okay, so the next question is, first of all, I got to ask you guys, since you guys claim to be Tiger fans, who's your Tiger? Right? Remember that? For like years they ran that, and it was always Brandon Inge.
Well, I'll say on this team, I always say like it's Riley Green. And one of the best things about this season was the nation got to kind of see what those who are fans of the team and those that just follow the team like knew about Riley Green. It's like confirmation nationwide. We've been kind of waiting for him to kind of be, look, he's not Bobby Witt Jr., but they're from the same draft class. They're in the same division. I want him to be in the realm of conversation as a floor with Bobby Witt Jr. And I feel like making your first career All-Star game, like you're on that track. Historically, I came up at a time where Curtis Granderson was roaming center field at Comerica Park, and I always liked the speedy guys with some power that made flashy plays on defense. And so when I was a kid, Curtis Granderson was definitely my Tiger. I will say this, as I always wore number 6 because of Al Kaline, Mr. Tiger. So therefore, I can't leave him unmentioned here as well.
Yeah, Jay, you keep calling me a fan. I'm a working journalist, so not a Tigers fan.
Yeah.
But I am a fan of baseball. All right, and as a fan of baseball, what a pleasure it was to watch Tarek Skubal this year. Some of the most dominant pitching I've ever seen, and just the level of consistency was really amazing. And to get to know this guy just a little bit and see how he goes about his work, the level of competitor he is, like it's one of those things you have a lot of respect for. And then just over the years to experience, this organization and its history a little bit, to get to know people like Alan Trammell, Kirk Gibson, Jim Leland, like that's baseball right there. And that's one thing I love about covering an organization with as much history as the Tigers have.
Okay, so I noticed you guys forgot somebody in your list of who's your Tiger. Javi Baez. Like, not one of y'all named Javi Baez. What are the Tigers going to do with Javi Baez next year? Because they're on the hook for a lot of years and a lot of money and you're talking about Trey Sweeney coming up being the guy at shortstop. Well, the only thing Javi Baez was like halfway decent at was somewhat playing shortstop. So what do they do with him? Do they try to move him? Do they release him? Do they try to bring him back in a utility role?
Yeah, I think you could try to move him, and probably no one would really pick up the phone. It's not a good situation. I'm glad I'm not the one who has to make that call. He's on the hook for, I believe, 3 years, $73 million. So far, it does not seem like the Tigers have any intention of just eating that contract, that money. Javi had a major hip surgery in September. Scott Harris said today he'll participate in spring training. Unclear if he's actually going to be ready to go opening day. Look, it's not realistic to think that a surgery is going to help Javi reclaim who he was in like 2018, 2019. That's out the window. I think the realistic scenario, if the Tigers are going to keep him around, is like a platoon where he plays as little as possible. Maybe he plays a little bit against left-handed pitching. But, yeah, it's not a good situation with Javi Baez.
No. So, okay, then I'll give you the big picture question here for the offseason. Obviously, we'll chat and people can subscribe to the podcast wherever they listen or to the show on YouTube. But, Kieran, do you think that we don't need to go player by player right now of what they're going to do, but do you think that ownership is going to amp up payroll? Because this has now become a low payroll team, at least at the moment, but you want to point to them being in rebuild mode for the last several years. Are they going to put their money where their mouth is now that they've gotten themselves some playoff games and they're on the rise, or are they going to be like the Twins?
I don't think there's going to be that marketable of a change. I think that payroll will increase. It kind of has to, really. But I don't foresee, like, Scott has never given any indication that he's that interested in just adding payroll. I joked a couple months ago that, I'll buy him whatever Detroit-style pizza is his favorite if he just leaks to the media that he offered Juan Soto a contract. That's all. Just offer the contract. But it's not going to happen. He's going to try to fill around the margins, and he kind of said it today. Cody can correct me if I'm wrong here, but he's like, we have to still kind of build around these young players. What are young players? Young players are cheap. They're not really payroll raisers, if you would. So, and again, the Javi Baez thing is also a factor there because, as much as Tigers fans want them to just kind of cut bait, these billionaire owners aren't necessarily in the business of paying people not to work for them, even if it is at a much lower scale than what you're paying them for. So I don't anticipate a huge change. Now, I have said in the past that, like, the kind of moves that they've made around the margins, like, there has to be another tier that they go. And I think that's reasonable, and that still is within the realm of quote-unquote raising payroll. But anytime you bring up payroll, Scott always talks about infrastructure, minor leagues, coaches, those kinds of things as a way of investing in the team. And I don't want to dismiss that, but that's not going to, make the talk radio listener, like, not call in and complain about being 27th, 24th, or whatever it is in payroll.
All right. So if we're not getting free agents, extensions. Who's the first up? Who are the top three extension candidates in the order of where you think who is most important to extend at this point? Because you already got a Cole Keith deal out there, which turned out to be great. He started to really learn in the big leagues. But who are the top three?
And Cody, you take this one, and then because we're tight on time. But yeah, give us your top three, and then Kieran, you can give yours on Tiger territory, so people will have to tune in there. But go ahead, Cody.
Sounds good. You guys ever have Scott Boras on? Can we get Scott on and ask if he'll listen to us?
We have had Scott Boras on.
We have.
All right.
We'll try and get him again this offseason.
Tacky.
That's right, not tacky.
Yeah.
Scooble's got to be number one. He's a Boras client. 2 more years of team control. The thinking there is Boras likes his stars to test the open market. But if you're Scott Harris, I think you got to at least make that call and see, if you can make an offer. Maybe Scott and Tarek couldn't refuse. Number 2, and probably the more realistic one, would be Riley Green. Just had an all-star year. Gets a little bit interesting because he's been somewhat injury-prone in his young career, but he's also established like a very high floor for himself. So if I'm Riley's camp, I'm kind of trying to get some real money, 20+ mil a year. But if I'm the Tigers, I might have a little bit of hesitancy committing long-term to a guy who's been injured so much as a young player. Number three, I might need some help from Kieran on this one. They have some young candidates. Maybe it's even another young guy like a Jackson Jobe, who is also a Scott Boras candidate.
Yeah, that's a good one.
There might not be a third if we're honest with those kind of extensions.
Kerry Carpenter.
Yeah.
You could do Carpenter. Another injury concern though with there too. You know.
Yeah, but damn, man.
Can't give an extension to somebody who you're platooning.
True. Great.
It's very fair.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know that Carpenter's camp would want that at like a platoon value. So
The Tigers have never been afraid to spend, though. In the past. When Mike Ilitch owned the team, they were not afraid to go out and spend. So hopefully they get back to that, and they sell some more Little Caesars, and they can get back to bringing in some free agents.
Chris ain't Mike.
I am aware, but I'm just saying.
We've seen this
Chris
time and
is,
time again.
Chris is not Mike. And what are those like the little pizza bites? I think they're doing really
well.
well.
Those things look good.
Not enough to raise the payroll significantly.
Not for you, Cody. Not for you.
Not at $3 a pop. They might have to go up to $4 a pop.
Well, guys, this was great. Everyone check out Tiger Territory. Everything's getting rebranded there, so you can see it wherever you get your pods. I dropped some of those links in the live chat here just now. They've got the YouTube channel. You'll see their faces as they're running through things. You'll see Austin Jackson soon, too. So congrats, guys. Thanks. Appreciate it. And we'll chat, obviously, down the line.
All right. Thanks, guys.
All right, appreciate it.
Thank you. We spun it forward, right? We've talked about Cleveland, we talked about Yankees, ALCS, all of that, right? But we were off the last couple of days from the weekend. We went over Padres Dodgers a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
That game was exciting too. I know that Lane Thomas had the grand slam, and then they kind of kept themselves in a little bit of a cushion of whatever it was, 3-4 runs to the finish line, and added some runs late. But man, for a while you're like, is Scooble going to go 9 and they're going to win 1-0?
That would have been amazing, but that wasn't going to happen.
No. But Lane Thomas, had the swing of his life. That's why you trade for a player like that. And yes, he was receiving criticism. He's been a damn good player for the Nationals for the last couple of years. And then they trade him over, and this is why they acquired him.
Agreed.
Good player. Slow start, small sample size.
Listen,
figured it out.
He's a one swing playing guy. So like if you throw it in that one swing plane, so I'm kind of trying to. It's like he swings thigh high, right? If you throw that ball thigh high to him, I was watching his grand slam. That ball was thigh high, right? It's like, whew. Kratz, those guys that swing the same place. Throw it up here, they swing here. Throw it low, they swing here, right? If you throw it here, they hit it a mile. Lane Thomas has just gotten into that groove where they're throwing it there and he's not missing it.
Mm-hmm.
Throw that slider down below his bat. You don't even need to back foot the slider to him. He didn't. He went heater and he clipped it. And you said it, that Scooble looked like he was dejected when he was on the bench. If you see him as he's watching the ball go over the fence, he's kind of like, And I wonder if a guy like that, because I've never been in that situation, I wonder if a guy like that's like, I had the whole weight of this team on my shoulders. I had the whole weight of this fan base on my shoulders. And when that ball goes out, he wasn't upset about hitting J-Ram. Obviously, he thinks he can get him out, but it's still 1-1 game. Now you go and get Lane Thomas. Oh, no, you don't go and get. You just saw him be like, there was a lot of pressure on him, and he was unbelievable.
Yeah, it was.
Well, that was the look. It wasn't it was just oh no, I've been so hot and I've made one mistake. Honestly.
That's the game.
Yep. I know.
The sport.
And it sucks for him, but he's an awesome dude. He'll bounce back. And I think the one person they need to extend is him.
Scooble? Yeah.
They need him and Riley Green are the two guys.
Remember when,
I don't think they'll
insiders were like, oh, he's on the block. He wasn't on the block. They like him. Best pitcher.
Put him on the block now and see what you get.
Everything. No way.
What?
The city would revolt. They would revolt. BetMGM locks, and a reminder, we'll be on after the Yankees and the Guardians tonight, but there's a game before that, and it's the Mets and the Padres. You can pick from, the Mets and the Dodgers. It's not the Dream World Series pick from Colin Cowherd. Friday locks did not go well for anyone besides Kratz.
Yeah, because those guys didn't pitch long enough. That was a good pick by him.
That was a really good pick, plus 275 with Yamamoto and Darvish on the unders. Good for you, dude. I mean, also, those teams just kept making contact. You got to give credit.
Darvish pitched long. Darvish got to his 4th strikeout, and then Teo came up, and I'm like, no way, they're going to let him face him, and they hit the dinger, and I'm like, oh, he's definitely out. Then they let him face one more hitter. I was like, no, stop, get him out of the game.
Yeah, you made it. It was good. Well done. All right, so let's spin it forward. Kratz, you go first since you're the only one that won.
If you watch all of the Yankee press game or press conference game stuff from yesterday, they talk about Jose Ramirez. Pitchers talked about him. Aaron Boone talked about him. They're worried about Jose Ramirez. And I feel like he's going to get a walk today, and they're paying me at plus 175. So I'm taking that, putting down 100 to win $175.
Wow, that's good value.
That is a great value.
Yeah, that's a good find for you.
Great value.
Are you picking from that game?
No, I'm picking from both games.
Both games. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
What are you doing?
All right, I'm doing Mark Vientos over 0.5 bases.
Okay.
So all he's got to do is get a hit.
Mm-hmm.
Just get a hit, Mark. You were hot. I think at some point you're going to get a lefty mixed in there, and he crushed lefties in the DS. So I'm thinking that's why I'm going there.
They don't have many lefties, though.
The Dodgers?
Well, they lost Vesia.
Oh, Vesia's out. But
Honeywell is like a specialist for that, and then who's their main guy for
I don't know.
Whatever.
I'm hoping he gets
Honeywell gets the lefties out. He's right-handed.
Honeywell's the guy we had on in spring training.
That, but he's got big splits.
Specialist guy.
Yeah.
I don't care. Vientos, just get a hit, okay? I don't care about what all this other crap they're talking about.
I don't
okay?
care.
Just get one hit. All I need is one hit. I don't care if face righties, lefties, guy shooting out of his rear. Just get a hit, okay? And then I'm taking Glaber over 1.5 total hits, runs, and runs about an inning. Why? Because he crushes Alex Cobb. All right? He's like 3 for 6 with 2 homers or some crazy numbers against him. So I'm taking him. He's going to get on. I think with Soto and Judge hitting behind him, he's going to come up. Rizzo's going to get on base. One knock, drive him in, boom, hit. And I'm betting 300 because I'm down 500. So that's what's me at 300, wins me 5, whatever. I'll be in the positives.
56.
Okay.
No, that's not right.
No, more than that. Sorry.
It ends with a 4. I know that. But the rest of it might be 554. But whatever. Anyways, it'll be in the positives tomorrow, people. So let's ride.
And lastly, I'll go Cleveland money line plus 135. Trying to get value out of an upset.
Wow.
Yeah. I've got
Scooter Braun with the upset pick of the week.
Taking game 1. I think they'll lose the
wow.
series and they'll lose game 2, but I got them in game 1. I mean, he's going to go nuts. He's going to try and steal a game in New York, and this is the game to do it, coming off a rested bullpen. And Cleveland hits left-handed pitching all year. That's, a lot of teams can't. Cleveland can. That's been their thing. So we'll see if that continues. I got them riding that momentum, coming in hot and taking a tight game, maybe like a 5-4. So BetMGM Sportsbook account holders who opt in to the BetMGM Bullpen Jackpot promotion can place a bet of at least $10 on your choice of a player to hit a home run prop, and you can get yourself a share of the daily $50,000 BetMGM Bullpen Jackpot. You need a player to hit a home run that lands in an MLB team bullpen. Prizing will be paid out in bonus bets that expire in 7 days. Gambling problem or concern? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Be right back.
Juan Soto hitting a dinger, blowing out 18 miles an hour to right.
Yeah, that sounds like Aaron Judge did a dinger to me.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, is Judge going to
wake up
and go nuts? Just like we said for Cleveland, is Josh Naylor going to wake up and go nuts? Obviously, different level of player, but
go crazy.
You're looking for someone like that to make an impact and hit a homer or two in this series.
As Lastings Millage once said, please, brother, there ain't no wind in the big leagues. So,
Lastings Millage was a special fellow.
He was interesting. Great name. Former Met.
Former White Sox great.
Former teammate. Former Pirate teammate. He wasn't an actual Pirate. He was just regular Lastings Millage, but yep. He the spring training we played together, he said, Lasting is going to go 30-30 this year. He didn't hit his first homer till like June 18th.
Well, he got hot after. What if he got hot after that?
Yeah, exactly. All right,
I don't know.
I respect the third person talk, but Aaron Judge is the best player, arguably, in baseball. I mean, him, Ohtani, whatever, right? Ohtani, if he's pitching and hitting, all that, I get it. But if he does Aaron Judge things, I mean, he can win you a series. Although,
but do they
in
let
the playoff, do you avoid him, right?
Yes.
For me, I'm like anyone else. If he shows this, like if he shows a sign that his timing's down, right? That he's locked in, I'm good.
I'm making Austin Wells beat me.
No doubt. Anyone else can beat me, right?
I don't think you even need that. He doesn't even need to show me his timing's down. You can tell a lot. AJ will tell you. You can tell a lot by takes. If his takes are on time, I'm not letting him beat me. But I don't even know if I'm even testing that water. It's like putting your foot in a shark tank. I know there's sharks in there. I'm not getting bit. Like I'm gonna go over to the next shark, the next tank.
You Northerners are so scared of alligators and sharks. It's ridiculous.
It's true.
So scared. You guys are so scared of alligators and sharks.
We talk about them, but it's not like you guys are hanging out with them.
Yeah, you've
been to the beach.
You don't have a shark in Orlando. There ain't no sharks in Orlando, so don't bring.
There ain't no sharks. Have you ever heard of SeaWorld? They got a shark. They got the shark encounter at SeaWorld.
Sharknado.
We just talked to tiger territory. We're not getting bit by a tiger.
I've been in a cage with a tiger.
Stop. Orlando.
I can send you the picture.
Instead of Kratz hat stakes, we don't have time. We're going right to Kratz at the dish. Go ahead, give us the play-by-play from the weekend.
Tried to sneak cheese by a rat, and then I had a huge blister on my heel. My foot was killing me. I ain't worn cleats in like 4 years. Since 2020, I needed a pinch runner, but that's a double. Sorry about it. That ball went to the wall. Rocket.
But like, how hard was this poor kid throwing? Like 60, and you're like, look at me. I mean, look at that. That dude's not touching 84. That dude right there ain't touching 84.
That's my college teammate. He's 40 years old. I didn't face him. The throw is what we're looking at there. I threw that kid out from my knees, AJ. Not my 40-year-old friend, TJ Frazier. He was throwing mid-80s. Still got it, AJ. Still got it. Never had it.